Angels say, you keep getting so close, but something always blocks it. This is why. And it's ending today. I speak now as the messenger of divine order to the one who has walked through cycles of almost healed, almost blessed, almost through. You have felt the weight of repetition, the sting of delay, the ache of watching the promise approach but never quite arrive. Heaven has watched the frustration building in your heart, the silent questions that rise when doors open only halfway. I tell you this day, heaven has marked your struggle. The interference ends now. The Spirit reveals this message at a divine intersection, the very edge between your warfare and your breakthrough. You have come so close that even the air feels charged with unseen resistance. The winds of delay have surrounded you, but they were not greater than your faith. Every setback you endured was not random. It was the exposure of what could not enter your next season. I am sent to announce, the resistance has run its course. You have reached the threshold of divine fulfillment. The block that kept you circling will now shatter beneath your obedience. You are not behind. You are aligned. What seemed like pause was divine preparation. The heavens are shifting, and I have been commanded to say, the unseen interference meets its end today. This message is not for the crowd. It is for the chosen. For the one who has carried the heaviness of almost. For the one who has felt unseen while standing in faith. Heaven calls you by name. You are being prepared for divine closure. For what resisted you has exhausted its authority. The cycle of delay ends not by your strength, but by divine decree. Stand still. Listen. The atmosphere is changing, and I am here to ensure that what once blocked you will now bow before you. Type I am anointed in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1122 is now activated. By sunrise, the unseen barrier begins to crumble. I have descended into the atmosphere of your delay, for heaven has issued a decree over your life. No more almost. No more reaching the edge of fulfillment only to feel it slip away. The time of nearing without arriving is finished. I stand, sword drawn, over the patterns that once imprisoned your progress. I am Michael, the archangel of divine enforcement, and I bring heaven's order where confusion once reigned. Hear me, chosen one. The decree has gone forth. The cycle of spiritual interference, emotional warfare, and hidden resistance has been weighed and found wanting. For too long, unseen hands have tangled your path, not to destroy you, but to strengthen the roots of your faith. You were never abandoned. You were being calibrated for revelation. I come to deliver what delay could no longer contain, the confirmation that you are seen, favored, and remembered. You have cried beneath the weight of unanswered prayers, believing perhaps that silence meant rejection. But heaven's silence was not absence, it was strategy. The eternal delayed response so that your heart could become strong enough to sustain the blessing. What was once withheld is now being released in divine sequence. You have been positioned through pain, prepared through pressure, and purified through persistence. The unseen barrier begins to crumble not because you have fought harder, but because heaven has spoken louder. I tell you this, in the next hours, you will sense the change. The air will feel lighter. The pressure that once pressed against your mind will lift. The fog that clouded your discernment will begin to clear. You will not have to force it. You will not have to chase it. You will simply know that the interference is losing grit. Every near miss, every false start, every disappointment, all of it begins to reverse under divine authority. This message is not meant for all. It is not for the complacent or the casual believer. It is for those who have been walking through fire and yet refuse to quit. It is for those who prayed even when their voice trembled. I speak to you directly. You are not cursed. You are being recalibrated. The waiting season was heaven's training ground for divine precision. You have been shifted from striving to alignment. Listen now. The war in the unseen is not against your potential, but against your timing. The enemy fought to make you weary before the door opened. But I, Michael, have stood watch. I have seen the tears you hid and the endurance you carried. And now, by command of the Most High, I declare that your alignment has triggered a divine release. Heaven says, "Be still, my child." The interference was never final. It was preparation. For what blocked you will now bear witness to your ascension. The unseen has heard heaven's verdict. Your story is shifting in this very moment. And as I speak, angelic forces move in synchronization. They are descending upon your path to clear residue, to break spiritual congestion, and to release divine acceleration. Your breakthrough is not pending, it is processing. The gates that resisted you have opened, and what was delayed is now appointed. This is your awakening moment. Lift your head. Breathe again. The God who called you has never changed his mind. The resistance bows to the decree of heaven. It ends today. Type "I received this breakthrough" in the comments if you feel the shift. Blessing code 7777 is now released over you. You have felt it, that unexplainable weight pressing against your spirit when progress begins to appear. That sudden confusion, that silent betrayal, that sense that someone or something unseen resists your peace. I have walked among those shadows to expose what eyes could not see. There have been forces, not always people, but energies, words, and emotional projections that have tangled themselves around your advancement. They whispered against your name, doubted your rise, and yet did not know that heaven was listening to every word. I tell you now, chosen one, the cycle of almost there was never a mark of failure. It was the evidence of a deeper battle being waged for your stability. The unseen realm has been observing every tear, every disappointment, every time you almost celebrated but found yourself resetting again. It was not random. It was not meaningless. There were spiritual siphons, unseen drains pulling from your emotional reservoir, leaving you weary just when your miracle was within reach. But hear me clearly, heaven has located the interference. Some who surrounded you carried mixed motives. Some admired you, yet envied the anointing upon your life. They reached toward your light but could not handle its truth. They were allowed for a season. That discernment might awaken in you, that you might learn not to confuse access with assignment. I, Michael, have seen how their words pierced and how your heart bled quietly beneath a smile. Yet you did not curse them. You stood in silence, and that silence became your shield. There were moments when you wondered if perhaps you were the problem. You questioned your prayers, your path, even your worth. But the Spirit whispers now, your frustration was never failure, it was divine redirection. The delays were diagnostic. Heaven was showing you what could not stay attached to your destiny. What seemed like rejection was actually protection disguised as disappointment. Every door that refused to open was sparing you from counterfeit access. Every relationship that dissolved was shielding you from contamination of purpose. They watched, says the Spirit, they spoke, but they never knew heaven was watching them. Those who mocked your process will soon witness your restoration. For I tell you this, heaven always finishes what it begins. The pattern of almost success is ending because it has fulfilled its purpose, to reveal what is false, to sharpen what is real, and to release you into unshakable discernment. You are not the same as you were at the start of this cycle. You have learned to trust delay as divine instruction. So now, I command the fog to lift. Every emotional imbalance, self-doubt, fear, anxiety, begins to dissolve under the light of truth. You are stepping out of confusion into clarity. You are stepping out of suspicion into divine confidence. The plot has been exposed, the false alignments revealed, the premature doors sealed shut. And now, you rise with wisdom forged by fire. The heavens rejoice, for you have endured what others would not. You did not bow to bitterness, and because of this, your restoration will be public. Those who thought you were forgotten will soon see your divine acceleration. The mystery is over. The interference has confessed itself before heaven's court. What drained you is being dismissed. What opposed you is being silenced. And what delayed you is now compelled to release you. Type "I am free from interference" in the comments if you feel this truth awakening within you. Blessing code 1441 now surrounds your atmosphere. Beloved, if this message has stirred your spirit, know that this moment is not just revelation, it is participation. The same way heaven uses messengers to deliver words, heaven also uses you to carry the fire forward. When you sow into this mission, through super thanks, membership, or a PayPal seed link in the description, you are not giving to a platform. You are igniting light in places still shadowed by despair. This is the law of divine exchange. As you release, heaven multiplies. The word says, "Give, and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together, running over." I speak now. This act of giving is not casual, it is prophetic. You are sowing into your own acceleration, into the breaking of cycles, into the awakening of others yet bound by delay. Every seed becomes light. Every act of faith becomes fire. The oil that flows here is not for one, but for the many. So, if your heart feels the pull, respond. Let your obedience echo heaven's decree. Type ISOW in faith if you feel led. Your harvest is marked by heaven's hand. What blocked you was never stronger than what was inside you. It was strategic. Heaven permitted resistance, not as punishment, but as preparation. Every wall, every delay, every unexplainable resistance you met was allowed by divine intelligence to forge discernment in you. For discernment cannot be taught by ease. It is born in the tension between faith and confusion. You have been walking through warfare disguised as waiting, and I, Michael, have watched as you stood at the edge of surrender yet chose to believe again. That choice is what made you unstoppable. Listen now, chosen one. The adversary never feared your potential. He feared your realization of it. So he crafted subtle interruptions, small discouragements, and distractions that felt like chaos. He wanted to convince you that God had forgotten, that the promises were too far delayed to still be true. But heaven has recorded every moment you refused to be moved. You were being tested not in your ability to fight, but in your ability to trust. You were refined by restraint, and your silence became a weapon the enemy could not interpret. They touched what was sacred and thought it would go unnoticed, says the Lord. But heaven recorded every act. Every word spoken against your progress was documented in the courts of heaven, and divine recompense has already been set in motion. You did not need to defend yourself. I defended you. You did not need to prove your purity. Heaven validated it. Your restraint became your shield. Your composure became your confirmation. Those who misread your stillness as weakness failed to recognize that your silence was strategy. You have been hidden in plain sight. God concealed you within the folds of delay so that no weapon could finish its work. There were those who reached toward your destiny to sabotage it, but they grasped only shadows, for heaven covered your true blueprint. The waiting season was your camouflage. Heaven cloaked your name so that it could not be desecrated before its appointed unveiling. I tell you this with divine authority. You are not being denied. You were being delivered from what would have destroyed you prematurely. Understand this truth. Resistance is the classroom of revelation. The friction you felt was the sound of your next level unlocking. Every challenge was an alarm in the spirit realm announcing that your assignment was too valuable to remain untested. The shaking you endured was not for your ruin, but for your rising. You learned to separate divine delay from demonic interference, and that distinction has become your strength. Even now, the atmosphere is shifting. The conflict that once consumed you is unraveling under heaven's fire. The angels who stood guard during your exhaustion are now releasing the next command. I have seen your endurance, your tears, and your obedience when no one understood your battle. And heaven now responds, enough. The war of delay is over. The strategy of resistance has failed. What was meant to frustrate you has instead refined you into divine precision. Hear me, this battle did not break you. It branded you with heaven's seal. You are now a carrier of authority, forged through endurance. You are no longer waiting for deliverance. You are walking in it. The weapons that formed have lost their aim. The opposition that surrounded you has lost its voice. Stand tall. Your discernment is now mature, your armor unshakable, your spirit anchored in divine order. And now I, Michael, proclaim over you. What once resisted you now releases you. You are stepping into the open field of fulfilled promises. The test is complete. The heavens have shifted. The war has ended, and the glory begins. Type "I am refined by heaven" in the comments if you receive this truth. Blessing code 2299 is now surrounding your path. The decree has been signed. Heaven's gavel has struck. Within 72 hours of this message reaching your ears, the atmosphere around your destiny begins to reorder itself. What was hidden in darkness will now tremble under divine exposure. Every unseen resistance, whether born of envy, witchcraft, or careless word, will bow to the higher law of divine alignment. For I, Michael, the archangel of war and truth, speak this. The interference meets judgment. There has been a long contest in the spirit realm over your promise. The enemy has sought to delay what heaven already approved. He used distraction to drain your focus and familiar spirits to whisper failure into your faith. But heaven has reached its threshold of patience. The balance has shifted. The weight of divine justice presses now against the forces that hindered you. The instruction has gone forth from the throne. Enough. Those who interfered, knowingly or unknowingly, are now being confronted by divine consequence. I tell you this with the authority of heaven's court. The exposure is not to destroy, but to correct. Those who spoke falsely of you will be silenced by truth. Those who mocked your faith will witness your fulfillment. Every energy, word, or alliance that tried to drain your spiritual momentum will now be recalled by divine command. For heaven does not overlook the battles of the righteous. It records and responds in perfect timing. Listen closely, for the shaking will come before the settling. Emotional pressure may rise as heaven rearranges your surroundings. You will sense shifts in relationships, opportunities, even locations. Do not panic. The shaking is not destruction. It is release. You are being pulled away from polluted frequencies and repositioned under divine purity. The tension you feel is the sound of your old atmosphere collapsing. The very things that once blocked you are now dismantling themselves under the command of the Most High. The plot ends when heaven shifts alignment, says the Spirit of the Lord. What was meant to trap you in cycles of doubt will soon serve as testimony to your deliverance. Even as I speak, angelic forces are gathering around the places you felt weakest. They are gathering not to observe, but to act. Swords of light are being drawn in defense of your destiny. Those who tried to rewrite your script will now see heaven restore the original text written over your life. You will not repeat this season again. This is the last chapter of the delay. There will be signs, subtle yet unmistakable. The dream that repeats will stop. The weight on your chest will lift. The sense of constant opposition will break. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. For every spiritual cord attached to limitation is being cut even now. The angels are repositioning your steps, clearing paths once blocked by invisible chains. You are being moved beyond the reach of the old pattern. Heaven declares, within 72 hours, divine correction begins. Do not seek revenge. Do not speak against those who wronged you. Simply stand still and watch the justice of God unfold. The delay that once mocked you will become your miracle's platform. The exposure will not humiliate you, it will vindicate you. Every false alignment, every distorted plan, every whisper of confusion will bow to truth. Chosen one, this is not merely warning. It is prophecy in motion. The hand of heaven moves swiftly now. Trust what unravels. Trust what ends. Trust what is removed. For what falls away in this hour was never meant to cross the threshold of your next season. The time of interference is over. The divine exposure begins. Type "I trust heaven's justice" in the comments if you receive this warning in faith. Blessing code 3033 is now activated over your life. Be still. Chosen one, for heaven fights when you do not. This is not the moment for battle cries or human explanations. This is the moment for divine silence. The Lord has commanded me to remind you that protection often looks like pause. There is a sacred stillness required when heaven moves on your behalf, for angels cannot operate in the noise of your anxiety. So lay down the need to justify, to explain, to argue. What is unfolding now does not need your defense. It needs your surrender. I have watched the tension rise in your spirit, the urge to respond to every whisper, to prove that your intentions were pure. But I say unto you, withdraw. Withdraw from the arguments that drain your light. Withdraw from conversations that carry no peace. Withdraw from the temptation to vindicate yourself. Heaven has already spoken your innocence into the atmosphere. Every tongue that rises against you has been silenced in the spiritual courts. Your stillness now is a weapon sharper than your words. Be still, says the Lord, for I am moving where you cannot see. The battle that once seemed external is now internal. It is the war between faith and fear, between trust and control. But this is your divine instruction. Rest in what has already been decreed. The interference has ended, and your assignment now is alignment. The angels surrounding you are on divine watch, ensuring that no residue of the past clings to your new beginning. Even as you read this, I am commanding spiritual winds to clear your atmosphere of heaviness. Let peace become your posture. Let calm become your declaration. For the enemy's final tactic is exhaustion, to make you so weary that you forfeit the harvest that is already yours. Do not fall for the illusion that nothing is happening. The silence you hear is not absence. It is activity. The divine operates in frequencies beyond your comprehension, and when heaven is quiet, it is most often because the miracle is being arranged. You are not forgotten. You are being repositioned. Pray not for revenge, but for revelation. Ask not for closure, but for clarity. the Spirit of truth, will show you what to release and what to retain. Every person, every opportunity, every situation in your path is being divinely evaluated. Let heaven decide what stays. Your task is to remain open, alert, and anchored in peace. When you release the need to control outcomes, divine flow resumes. Your breakthrough is not delayed by opposition. It is delivered through obedience. Repeat this affirmation in your spirit. I am untouchable in divine order. Say it until the vibration of fear leaves your body. Say it until peace replaces panic. You are surrounded by fire, the holy fire that shields, purifies, and reveals. Let the divine wind reposition what your effort could not. Stand firm in the knowledge that what God has ordained cannot be undone. The path before you has been cleared, even if you cannot yet see the clearing. The promise is already secured. Now heaven simply aligns your steps to meet it. So rest, beloved. Rest not as retreat, but as warfare in disguise. Rest as a declaration of faith. Rest as one who knows that angels move faster than worry. Your stillness is not emptiness. It is evidence that you trust the decree of heaven. Every storm around you is losing its sound. Every shadow that once followed you is dissolving into divine light. This is your season of quiet victory. What was hidden is being handled. What was delayed is being delivered. Stay still. Stay sealed. Stay covered. The angels are moving. Heaven is at work. Type I am covered by heaven in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 1919 is now surrounding your peace. You are not who you were when the delay began. I, Michael, have watched the transformation of your spirit through the fires of waiting and the storms of confusion. You have been refined beyond recognition, shaped into a vessel of strength, not fragility. Where fear once ruled, faith now resides. Where anxiety once whispered, divine confidence now roars. The version of you that began this journey could not have carried what heaven is about to deliver. Every delay was a classroom. Every disappointment was training. Every tear was water for the soil of your destiny. You have matured into divine command. The battle you endured was never meant to break you. It was meant to reveal you. The moments when you felt the weakest were actually the moments when your spiritual muscle was being forged. Every unanswered prayer strengthened your endurance. Every closed door sharpened your discernment. What once hurt now teaches. What once burned now builds. The pain that tried to silence you has become the fire that fuels you. The storm that tried to drown you has become the wind beneath your eyes. This is divine alchemy, heaven turning resistance into radiance, pain into power, delay into destiny. Listen closely. Heaven is no longer testing your faith. It is trusting your faith. The time of proving has passed. Now begins the time of commanding. You will no longer beg for alignment. You will speak it. You will no longer chase opportunities. Opportunities will be drawn to your light. For the angels have marked your voice with divine authority. When you declare in faith, realms respond. When you speak truth, the atmosphere shifts. You are no longer a survivor of cycles. You are a commander of seasons. You have graduated from reaction to revelation. You now understand that not every battle requires your sword. Some require your silence. Some your prayer, and others your peace. This wisdom is your new weapon. Heaven celebrates your endurance because it birthed discernment. You have learned the rhythm of divine timing, and now that rhythm will move through your life like a holy current. Everything once delayed is now finding its divine acceleration. Hear this clearly. You are rising above the storm that once buried you. What once intimidated you will now obey your voice. You carry authority forged in warfare. You carry the tone of one who has survived divine refinement. The angels rejoice, for they have watched your evolution with reverence. The light within you has intensified. It now emits frequencies that repel confusion and attract favor. Your aura has become the armor of heaven itself. This is your elevation moment. You are not stepping into the end. You are stepping into a reintroduction. Heaven is preparing to reveal you to the very realms that dismissed you. The ones who overlooked you will now witness your ascension. And when they ask how you survived, your answer will not be revenge, but revelation. The resistance made me ready. Rise, chosen one. Lift your head. You are no longer walking beneath delay. You are walking above it. What was meant to bury you has become the platform of your testimony. The interference is gone, but the wisdom remains. You have become the evidence of divine refinement. From this moment forward, your voice carries the vibration of victory. The season of survival is over. The season of command has begun. You are empowered. You are unstoppable. You are sealed by heaven. Type "I am rising in power" in the comments if you receive this transformation. Blessing code 5151 is now released over your destiny. Heaven reveals now the mystery that kept you wondering. The block was never punishment, it was protection. You were not being denied, you were being defended. Every delay that felt cruel was actually mercy wearing disguise. I, Michael, tell you, the Father withheld not because you were unworthy, but because the blessing was not yet safe. Had the doors opened earlier, you would have entered unprepared, surrounded by alliances, not anointed for your next dimension. So heaven, in its wisdom, closed what your desire tried to open. This is divine revelation. The block was your bodyguard. The delay was your defense. The confusion was heaven's shield keeping you from premature exposure. Every unanswered prayer was a reordering of divine sequence. The blessing was never canceled, only relocated to its appointed time. You were not left out. You were being led through the shadows into sustainable light. What you thought was rejection was redirection into divine alignment. The Father says, "I did not withhold to harm you. I withheld to heal you." The pause protected you from counterfeit provision. The waiting refined your wisdom so you could steward what was coming. The blessing you now approach requires maturity, and heaven ensured you would not receive it half-formed. What felt like delay was heaven installing discernment, building character, and strengthening your voice. Every sleepless night was heaven chiseling identity into your soul. The pressure was never punishment, it was preparation. Now hear me clearly. The heavens have shifted. The test is over. You are entering the realm of divine reversal. The angels announce this decree. Your name has been written in the book of reversal. What once opposed you now endorses you. What once blocked you now blesses you. The divine equation has flipped, and the law of spiritual restitution is active. You did not lose time. You gained mastery. You did not lose opportunities. You gained discernment to recognize real ones. The season of protection is now becoming the season of presentation. You have graduated from waiting to walking. The oil of divine favor now magnetizes toward you, pulling resources, allies, and doors that once ignored you. The vibration of delay has been silenced, and the frequency of fulfillment surrounds you. I, Michael, declare it. The heavens have aligned. The blessing once withheld has found you again, but now it finds you wiser, stronger, and ready. The same hands that once trembled and waiting will now hold what was promised. The angels rejoice, for divine reversal has begun. Chosen one. This is the revelation that ends the cycle. What blocked you was saving you. What delayed you was defining you. Heaven never forgot your name. It was inscribing it deeper into destiny. You are now stepping into a flow where divine protection and divine promise merge into one river of favor. Nothing was wasted. Not the tears. Not the tests. Not the time. Everything was prophetic construction for the unveiling that begins now. Rise in understanding, for revelation has replaced confusion. You are no longer questioning why it took so long. You are thanking heaven that it didn't happen too soon. What you carry now could only be born through process. You are walking as one chosen, refined, and revealed. Type "I receive my reversal" in the comments if this revelation has awakened your faith. Blessing node 4144 is now active upon your life. Beloved, if this revelation spoke directly into your spirit, then know this: revelation is a seed, and every seed needs soil. When you sow into this message, through super thanks, membership, or a PayPal seed link in the description, you're not funding words, you're fueling awakening. You are joining heaven in restoring hearts still trapped in delay. The same anointing that broke the cycle over you will flow to others through your obedience. This is not a transaction. It is transformation. The Lord says, "As you release what is in your hand, I release what has been in mine." When you give into this word, you activate divine reciprocity, the law of heaven's harvest. You become the vessel through which God's revelation reaches those still waiting for their breakthrough. I speak over every giver now. Your offering becomes oil. Your obedience becomes fire. Your support becomes seed in the field of deliverance. The heavens are open. The flow is real. Type ISOW into revelation if you feel the pull of the Spirit. Heaven records your act of faith. Now the revelation has been given, and heaven waits for your response. Destiny does not unlock through hearing alone. It unlocks through declaration. I, Michael, speak this with divine urgency. The cycle breaks when you align your words with heaven's will. The war is already won in the spirit, but it manifests when your faith agrees with it on earth. Open your mouth and declare, "I align with divine timing. I release resistance." For every word you speak in faith becomes a key in the unseen realm. The angels move at the sound of divine agreement, and your yes has more power than 1,000 battles fought in fear. The heavens are listening. The Spirit of the Lord says, your surrender is the trigger for manifestation. The moment you stop wrestling with how and when, the river begins to flow. The enemy cannot hold what you refuse to chase. He has built his strategies around your frustration, but when you step into surrender, his schemes lose structure. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. When you yield, heaven yields favor. When you rest, angels rise. When you let go, divine movement begins. Take one step today, not in panic, but in purpose. Send that message you were afraid to send. Release that burden you kept rehearsing. Begin that plan you've delayed out of fear. Every act of obedience becomes motion in the spirit. Alignment is not stillness. It is movement in harmony with heaven. You cannot say you believe and yet stand in hesitation. The angels assigned to your destiny await your command. They cannot move on confusion. They respond to clarity. And clarity is born the moment you decide to trust the divine order. Hear me. Heaven does not need your perfection. Heaven requires your permission. The doors are already open, but your movement activates their manifestation. The delay is not in heaven's hand. It is in human hesitation. The moment you step, the wind catches you. The ground beneath your faith becomes solid. The invisible staircase appears one step at a time, but only for those who walk. This is not a season of analysis. It is a season of activation. Declare aloud, even now, I step into divine flow. I surrender my pace to heaven's rhythm. Each syllable you speak releases power. Your words rewrite the spiritual atmosphere around you. Heaven waits for your command. Every promise attached to your life is hovering, waiting for your cooperation. I, Michael, have been assigned to ensure that your obedience births acceleration. When you move, I move with you. When you act in faith, I defend your motion. When you choose surrender, I war against what wars against you. Stand now as one approved, not one rejected. The Lord has not called you to survive cycles. He has called you to command seasons. You are no longer the seeker of signs. You are the sender of them. Your words open what was once closed. Your declaration shifts what was once delayed. You carry the vibration of divine authority. When you speak, realms recognize it. When you declare, dimensions align. Heaven is not silent. Heaven is waiting for your sound. This is your divine activation. Heaven has opened its scrolls. Your name is among those chosen to move forward without resistance. The angels stand ready. The gates are unbarred. The atmosphere is clear. Now, chosen one, move in the confidence of divine endorsement. Your faith has unlocked the next chapter. Your obedience has summoned acceleration. Destiny is no longer pending, it is present. Type I am activated by heaven in the comments if this word stirs your spirit. Blessing code 8181 now awakens your destiny. While you sleep, heaven speaks. While you cry, heaven records. While you wonder if anything is moving, the Spirit is making trades on your behalf. There are moments when silence feels like abandonment, but I tell you, it is strategy. The greatest exchanges in the divine realm are not loud. They are sacred, still, and seal. The angels do not shout as they move. They whisper in obedience to the decrees of God. The nights that felt the quietest were the nights heaven was most active. When you felt forgotten, heaven was negotiating your release. I, Michael, have stood over the table of divine exchange. I have seen blessings withheld from the hands of those who meant you harm, reassigned back into your life with multiplied force. I have seen prayers you thought expired begin to unfold again, renewed by your perseverance. There is no wasted prayer, no forgotten cry. Every word you ever spoke in faith still vibrates in the chambers of heaven. And in this hour, heaven has begun to answer in ways you cannot yet trace. The unseen has entered divine motion. The Spirit of the Lord says, "What was stolen will be restored in superior form." For every joy the enemy drained, heaven releases double recompense. For every opportunity sabotaged, a greater door appears. These are not metaphors. They are movements. Spiritual trades are occurring. What once belonged to darkness is being rerouted into your destiny. I see resources changing hands. I see favor being reallocated. I see names being rewritten in the book of divine timing. Those who thought they gained by hindering you are now losing by divine law. Justice is not coming. It is already in progress. The restlessness you have felt lately is not anxiety. It is activation. Your spirit senses what your eyes cannot yet confirm. You have been feeling the tremor of heaven's transactions. You wake suddenly in the night not because of worry, but because your spirit is witnessing movement. Every sigh has been documented. Every moment you released control was a currency exchange, your surrender for heaven's intervention. Nothing has been lost. It has been held in reserve, waiting for the fullness of time. Understand this. There are vaults in the spirit that open only when trust is complete. And now, your faith has reached that maturity. The gates that once resisted have received new codes. The angels stand stationed around your inheritance, preparing it for manifestation. You may not see it yet, but you will soon feel the shift in your emotions, your atmosphere, and your opportunities. The silence is breaking, not with noise, but with results. Even as I speak, spiritual restitution is unfolding. Contracts in the unseen are being annulled. Curses are being reversed. The webs of delay that once held your progress hostage are unraveling thread by thread. You have been the subject of divine exchange, and now you become the recipient of divine increase. Your faith has transacted with heaven, and the receipt is your peace. So rest in this truth. What you lost in confusion, you will recover in clarity. What you lost in delay, you will regain in divine acceleration. Nothing that was meant for you has passed you by. It has been circling, waiting for this appointed alignment. Heaven is precise. It wastes nothing, forgets nothing, and redeems everything. The silent exchange is complete. The balance has shifted. The verdict is sealed. Type I receive heaven's exchange in the comments if you witness this word in your spirit. Blessing code 2929 is now active over your restoration. Hear me now. Chosen one, the balance of the heavens has shifted, and the gavel of divine justice has struck. What blocked you now bows to you. Every hindrance that mocked your endurance, every spirit that whispered against your progress, every force that delayed your promise, is now under divine arrest. I, Michael, have stood in the courts of heaven, and the decree has been sealed. The era of injustice in your story is over. The divine reversal has begun. For too long, the scales seemed uneven. You watched others move ahead while you carried the weight of invisible resistance. You questioned the silence, wondering if God had forgotten. But the silence was not neglect. It was accumulation. Heaven was gathering evidence, recording every unjust delay, every misused word, every attempt to block your light. The Father has reviewed the case, and judgment has been rendered. My child is free. My child is vindicated. My child is restored. The enemy thought he could wear you down with cycles of disappointment, but each tear you shed became evidence in heaven's favor. The adversary accused, but the blood of the Lamb defended. The voices of mockery are now silenced by the voice of divine verdict. What they took without cause will now return multiply. What they spoke in secret will now be revealed in daylight. Every unseen theft, every manipulation of opportunity, every spiritual distortion has been exposed before the throne. The justice of heaven does not delay. It delivers in perfect measure. This day, says the Spirit of the living God, I repay in full. For the years the locusts devoured, for the seasons of silence, for the nights of hidden pain, double recompense is being issued. Your restoration will not come in fragments, but in fullness. The same ground that once rejected you will now call for your presence. The very rooms where you were overlooked will now prepare a seat for your return. What was lost is being summoned back to your timeline by divine command. The reversal is not symbolic, it is structural. The spiritual architecture of your life is being rebuilt in your favor. Doors that were once sealed are reopening with new inscriptions, approved by heaven. Relationships, once strained, are being rewritten by divine reconciliation. Resources once withheld are being released without resistance. You will recognize the justice of God not by revenge, but by restoration. Heaven does not retaliate. Heaven redeems. Even now, angels of justice are moving through the corridors of your destiny, correcting wrong alignments and sealing at every entry point once used against you. You are entering a season of visible turnaround. The favor that once seemed delayed is now overtaking you. You will not have to announce your restoration. It will speak for itself. The same ones who doubted your faith will witness your fulfillment. The same voices that said, "It will never happen," will say, "Surely, the Lord has done this." The scales of heaven tip in your favor. The gavel has sounded. The case is closed. The interference that once stood between you and your promise has been struck down by decree. The story that once brought you pain will now produce praise. The cycle of almost is over. The hour of completion is here. Type "I receive divine justice" in the comments if you feel this verdict in your spirit. Blessing code 9999 is now sealed over your destiny. The decree is complete. The word has gone forth, and heaven stands behind it. What once blocked you has bowed. What once resisted you has surrendered. I, Michael, speak this as a final seal. The interference ends today. No more circling, no more cycles, no more near breakthroughs that slip away. You have crossed the threshold of divine completion. The struggle that once defined you is now a testimony written in light. You are no longer walking toward victory. You are walking in it. Chosen one, hear this truth and let it echo within your soul. You are seen, known, and secured by heaven. The Father has not only answered your prayers, He has exceeded them. The places once dark are now illuminated. The patterns once repeated are now dissolved. The Spirit has reordered your path, and angels now travel before you to clear every remnant of delay. You are stepping into rest, not as withdrawal, but as confirmation. The war has been won. The peace has been decreed. So now, lift your hands and declare with me, "I am sealed, I am seen, I am sent. My breakthrough is here." Feel the vibration of that truth anchor itself into your reality. The power that once held you back no longer has access. The cycle of almost is broken by divine finality. From this day forward, your life moves in divine rhythm, protected by peace, guided by grace, and crowned with glory. The heavens rejoice, for another chosen one has emerged from the furnace refined, radiant, and ready. Rest now, for heaven has moved. The storm has been silenced, the warfare has been won, and the gates have opened. You are covered in divine favor, surrounded by angelic order, and sealed in eternal light. This is the day of your divine completion. Walk in it without fear. Type "IT is finished in heaven and on earth" in the comments if you receive this final blessing. Blessing code 7770 is now active in your atmosphere. Beloved, as this message seals your breakthrough, let it also awaken your purpose. Heaven's work continues through those who carry His word forward. When you sow into this mission, through super thanks, channel membership, or a PayPal gift link in the description, you are not merely supporting a message, you are expanding the kingdom's reach. Your seed becomes the sound that delivers light into dark places, hope into weary hearts, and freedom into bound souls. The Spirit says, as you pour into what pours into you, I will multiply what was withheld. Giving in this moment is not a transaction. It is a prophetic act, a declaration that you stand with heaven's agenda. Each seed is a sword in the spirit, each gift a key unlocking the next miracle in another life. The oil that flows here flows through every giver who partners with divine purpose. This is a sacred exchange, your faith for heaven's favor. Let your obedience speak louder than hesitation. So where revelation has met you, and heaven will meet you in return. Type ISOW into completion if this word has confirmed your victory. The heavens acknowledge your act of faith.